Market your brand and personalize your message. Brand Squad opens doors to new ideas, helping to grow your business with smarter marketing. Thousands of promotional items, thousands of ideas. Turn prospects into customers with Brand Squad's memorable promotional products. Simple marketing, effective results. We do the thinking. You do the winning. Brand Squad, on point with your promotional products.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tiki Hut Studios. I'm Ken Rose with Minuteman Press, and we are live today from Rincon de la Vieja in Costa Rica. Joe and I have a beautiful background behind us from Costa Rica. Lisa's stuck in the office. Speaking of Joe, say hi.
Hey guys, welcome to Joe Knows the Podcast, starring Ken Rose and his
Second banana,
assistant, Joe Carlisle. I think we should bill it like that. I like the idea. It'll confuse people.
Who else we got in the studio today?
Oh, that's right. We have the amazing Lisa Rose.
Hello.
Owner, operator, president, founder. What other good titles can that be? You know, when you do a business.
Say something profound.
From Brand Squad. Go ahead,
Hey, everybody.
Lisa.
I wish I was in Costa Rica with these guys, but, you know, I'm stuck here in my office.
Ken and I actually, later on, we're going to go put on our Speedo and work on our tan.
There he goes with the Speedo thing again.
Ladies and gentlemen, that may be a blacked out broadcast, but it will be fun.
I was wondering, can I get, what is it, spandex? Maybe I should get a Speedo that's not like, embarrassing.
That's called X-Spandex.
Oh, X-Spandex. That's right. I think I've told you before, Patty and I, we drive down and we see some people. We're like, sister, you need a friend, like a real friend. Like the friend that'll tell you, honey, that man is not good for you.
Oh, golly. Well, we're already going off the deep end, but you know what? Before we get started today, Joe and I were discussing a little PSA. Want to give a shout out. So why don't you go ahead?
Obviously we want to have fun, and we're not about the news or politics or any of that, but we cannot ignore what's going on in the Ukraine. These people, I think, have inspired the world. I heard one guy who was member of their parliament who said, I don't know if you'll see me again. He was picking up arms and leaving his apartment to go fight the Russians. And he said, I want you to understand, we are not just fighting for the freedom of the Ukraine, but the freedom of the world. And I thought, wow, that hit me right between the eyes. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those people. Anything you can do to assist. I don't know what that is. I don't have a website for you to go to. Go online, find out the charitable organizations who are supporting the refugees. It'd be a good way for you to help right here from America. You can always weigh in with your vote when the time comes. But there are organizations, Convoy of Hope, Mercy Trucks. There's all sorts of them out there. And I know that the Convoy of Hope already has people and supplies on the ground to feed and bring medical care to the Ukrainians who are now refugees in Poland and other places surrounding the Ukraine. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those people. These are some of those things you should pay attention to the news. I don't like to listen to the news 24/7, but you need to be aware of this. This is history happening right now. And what happens in the Ukraine could affect your life soon.
Gas prices especially.
I'll say this. In these here United States, we bicker Democrats, Republicans, black, white, Asian, Indian, Hispanic, and all we do is argue and fight over things that are so meaningless in the end. When this started with Ukraine, all I thought about was, could you imagine if Florida was a country, Georgia was a country, Mississippi, who else do we border? Alabama.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they started attacking us here as a country. We should feel very blessed that we live in these here United States of America, where there's no division other than division that's made up by the media, made up by simple-minded people, And we should really be grateful that, we're here.
I love that perspective. I mean, we always talk about what can we get on the same page about. Well, we can get on the same page about, the Ukrainian problem. And Ukraine is not some tiny, backwards, developing nation, that was, engaging in things like ethnic cleansing or any of that. They were just a bunch of people trying to get on with their lives. I'm taken by the pictures of the cities who are shut down, and when they have the daylight pictures of people they're walking past coffee shops and high-end boutiques, and it's not. This isn't the image of the Eastern Europe from the 50s. This is a Western nation.
Right.
We're
tremendous resources.
Tremendous
natural resources and such.
Which is one of the reasons they're a target. But again, we won't get off on that. We just wanted to open and let you know, even though we have fun and we're going to make fun of some stuff today, we are not making fun of that. I think we made fun. I actually felt a little bad that we made fun of the spellings last week.
Well,
but I also realized that was just we're making fun more of the media than anything else.
Correct.
And so we just wanted people to know that we do have a serious side, but we don't feel like you need to be depressed by it.
Yes. Now back to our regular episode.
What are we going to talk about?
Joe, what?
I was exhausted. Man, I was exhausted. This COVID thing was no joke, man. I mean, I tried to get out into my garden last week and catch up, and I'm catching up in my business. And, at the night I was exhausted. I just thought it was because I was trying to catch up so much and my mind is running. Dude, by Sunday, I could barely pick my head up. And all day yesterday, I was telling you earlier, I'm in my office. I'm falling asleep in my chair with the phone on. I was talking to somebody, and I remember them going, "Joe, are you still there?" I had fallen asleep in the middle of a conversation.
Sounds like Kenneth.
Well, you know what I think? I mean, and here's my COVID theory, and I'm no doctor, so please don't take this advice. But you know how when you yawn, somebody else yawns?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that there is that kind of effect where you're around people and then somebody got sick, and so you feel for them, and then you feel that, and then you sniffle. You're like, oh my God, do I have something?
Yeah.
It's like going to WebMD, and you're like, oh my God, I have all of these problems.
Yes.
Oh, let me get my will done and fixed up and ready to go. So I think that's part of it too.
I went on MD, WebMD. Suddenly, I have cancer and the plague and Ebola. I mean, how did I get 9 lethal diseases all at the same time, right?
Including rabies. So so it is. I think that's part of it too. Is that we've grown accustomed to this now, and so I sympathize, with people being sick, and I feel their pain, and Lisa knows I'm emotional. We were watching 1883, which is the.
Oh, I did the same thing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Lisa won't look at me, and I won't look at Lisa because Lisa's like,
and I hear him,
and I'm like, oh, I can't take it,
Then we start laughing.
But I will say this, whether you've caught 1883 or certain movies that have tugged at your heartstrings and you've cried. It's really one of the greatest feelings you can have because you know that you're alive.
Yep.
It's cathartic.
I told him that you have a heart. You're not heartless. If you can watch that show
and I've been married to heartless people, so I get that.
My kids have made fun of me for years because I cry at the oddest times in movies. If I'm
during
watching
a car chase.
Well, no,
that guy's gonna die.
I tend to be those historical movies. The thing that'll touch me that doesn't. Watching The Sands of Iwo Jima. I don't cry when John Wayne dies. I cry when they're hitting the beach.
Oh wow!
Right? I mean, like I cry when the supporting character that you knew was going to die from the minute the movie started, because everybody liked him. That's when I cry.
Right. No, I cry all the time. I mean, my Lisa knows my favorite all-time movie is Field of Dreams, and when Kevin Costner says to his dad, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?" It just breaks me. That's one scene. Another scene is in Forrest Gump, when Forrest goes to Savannah and meets Jenny, and she says,
His name is Forrest.
His name is Forrest, and Forrest is like, he has a name like me, and he's named after his father,
Yeah.
and that's like devastating.
and his concern is he like me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're right. That is, man, I'm getting a little choked up just thinking about it.
Just thinking about it.
But that's sometimes for me the bar of what whether a movie's going to be really. I mean, I've seen movies that weren't supposed to be very popular, and
Right.
I mean, today because of social media, they all try to get them all out. But you see a movie that I love, what they call a sleeper movie.
Yes.
It's not it wasn't designed as a blockbuster. It got some advertising, but nobody expected it to be this.
Right.
And everybody, Steel Magnolias was like that, right?
I didn't see that because isn't that kind of like a ladies' movie?
Oh, dude, no.
Did you
it's
see
not.
Steel Magnolias?
Long
No.
time ago. I don't remember
Or
much
Fried
about
Green
it, though.
Tomatoes?
It's
wasn't that one?
about
Yeah.
a bunch of women.
Right.
Okay, but here's the thing about Field of Dreams. And of course,
Well,
that's
I could go to a Flockers meeting and see the same thing.
not like this. The cool part about Steel Magnolias, and I see this in movies, and sometimes I get jacked because I'll pick a movie for this reason. I was an actor.
Right.
So I know people who are amazing at what they do, right? And I want to watch them. And Steel Magnolias has a good story, but what really makes the movie Field of Dreams, or not Field of Dreams,
Steel Magnolias,
is you get this collection of women who have been at their craft for 30, 35 years.
Sure.
They're at the height of their career. All of them are at the height of their careers, and they give every single one of them gives absolutely amazing performances. And the movie won some Oscars and stuff like that. But I always feel the Oscars miss what should be an ensemble award.
Right.
There should be an award for the cast that works so well together that they all elevate each other. And that's why I like to see movies like
Right.
that, right? I'll tell you, Ocean's 11 was like that.
Weren't there a lot of those, though? Oceans like 8, 9.
Well, they made a bunch of
right.
them because they figured out they assembled all of these guys.
Right. That superstar cast. Yeah.
I mean, for instance, let's face it, The Expendables, the story is really...
It's a typical go and rescue.
kind of a pedestrian
Yes.
story, but you've assembled all these amazing action
Right.
figures, and it just kind of...
It elevates because it's
Elevates
Rambo
the whole
times
thing. Yeah.
10, it's Arnold and Rambo and all of that. Lisa, do you have a movie? What movie touched you the most?
Oh, gosh. A lot.
A lot.
Can't think of any right at this moment.
Okay, Lisa, a lot is not a movie, okay?
Just about every dang
Just
movie
about
makes
everything.
me cry.
I
Yeah.
I remember I got embarrassed on a first date once because I took this girl on a first date to see E.T. And of course, when E.T.'s in the ambulance and its heart starts to beat again,
Yeah.
and Elliot starts wailing and crying, and again, it's one of those types of things. So anyway,
I tell you,
Kids' cartoons, like
Movies.
Disney movies, always make me cry.
they're supposed to.
there are moments sometimes.
Yeah.
I will tell you
Like
that
Tarzan. That
you
one
brought
got
up
me.
E.T. When E.T. came out, I was on deployment in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps. And so all of my friends are writing me these letters. And when you see a little bit of news, you're hearing about this movie. And all my friends go, so I'm overseas in Beirut. I'm not going to see any movies.
Right.
And when they bring movies to the, on ship for you to see, you're seeing something that's 25 years old.
Right.
And you've seen it anyways. So I get back in the States and I'm on leave. And Patty, who was just my girlfriend at that point in time, and all of our circle of friends, they spend days telling me about how this movie is life-changing, right? And so I go to see this movie with me and my friends, and we're all in our 20s. But the movie theater is filled with kids. And we get about, I don't know, a third into the movie. I'm getting pissed off because I'm expecting something that's going to it's a cute movie.
Right, it's a cute movie.
But there's dumb stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Super duper dumb stuff. I feel E.T., they didn't tell mom near early enough.
Right.
At some point you got to realize, even as a kid, you're like 10 years old, you're like, Mom, something weird's going on.
Hey, real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Shout out to Mandy Deal. She says he just ruined E.T. for me. And my mom is on, so hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mandy. How are you? Hey, I saw you and Eileen yesterday on air, so that was good. It's good to see all of my friends on air like you should be.
Mandy, I'm sorry we just ruined E.T. for you. And
I mean, you should have seen it already at your age.
To encourage you, I ruined E.T. for every child that was in that movie. I was like, I got to the place where I was that guy in the back making comments. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, golly.
Shoot. And I'm the guy's like, shoot him, just shoot him. You want to dissect him anyways. Just shoot him out of the sky.
Nice, Joe.
Oh, I didn't like A Star Is Born. And I told him, I said...
Oh, the new one.
The new one?
The new one.
Yeah.
Or the
I
old
said,
one?
Ken, if anyone dies in this movie, I don't want to see it. And he's like, it's a good movie. Just watch it. And I'm like, okay.
Well,
and
there.
I'm sobbing. And that 7 pounds or whatever, that was another one. I had to leave the room.
7 pounds.
I had to leave the room sobbing.
That was brutal.
I'm like, I can't watch.
That's Will Smith. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Right.
I couldn't watch it because the light bulb went off and I knew what was happening. When he starts dumping the ice, I'm like,
Right.
I ran out crying, and I'm in the shower, and he comes in, and I'm cussing him out. I was like, "You son of a!"
She was mad. I mean, she wasn't like mad, like mad, but she was mad.
was like-
but it was such a
I was like, "I told you I
Twist
don't like movies like this."
of a movie. It was,
What? A Star Is Born?
no 7 pounds.
No,
Oh,
7
7 pounds,
pounds.
yeah.
But A Star Was Born has been made 4 times. That
That
it originally
story is
started
old.
out as a young actress coming up. So it was an actress, and then of course, I think Judy Garland starred in one.
Yep.
And then of course it was Streisand and.
But it's always the same sad ending, It's
Yeah, somebody's always dying.
like just dying, or the fame just like makes you an awful person,
Yeah.
In the first 2, the husband dies.
Oh,
In the old
fame
one,
does though. Fame does. And I think that's it's interesting because you have the money, you have the fame, you have everything, but the thing that you lose is privacy. And in the end, for every actor, musician, and anybody that's in the public eye, that's the biggest loss that they really have is privacy.
Well, but it's kind of what you sign up for, isn't it?
Is it?
I mean,
Is it?
if you become a celebrity, you kind of
You
got
kinda
to
know.
accept,
You kinda know that's
especially
gonna
in
happen.
today's world, you
Yeah.
got to kind of expect.
Well,
and
with social media.
Actually, I don't believe paparazzi should harass famous people. The
No,
way
I
they do.
don't either.
But when I see somebody that's like a mega star and they got all the money in the world, they get to go, they're driving their 3rd Bugatti up to, an average date where somebody's going to like park their car for them, and they get all the.
I valet all the time, Joe,
But yeah.
don't you? I see valet, I'm going right there.
Give me your Corvette. I do valet all the time. It's because I'm older. It's much easier than walking the 9
We
miles
were a little
from the parking
butthurt
lot.
in what was that? The Hard Rock in.
Oh yeah, we
South Florida?
We went to see the Dolphins play. We got some tickets from some friends, and we stayed at the Hard Rock, the Guitar Hotel thing. And so I pull up, and I'm in my my truck, and it has no lift or anything or any of that. Oh, that won't fit in valet. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So he had to walk like 10 miles.
Yeah, it was like forever.
I didn't see him for half the day.
And I had tendonitis in my foot. It was anyway.
So, see, I'd have said, sure, it will. Take 2 spaces.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
but it's funny because people will go out to $100 dinner, for 2, or $150 dinner for 2, whatever it is, and then they don't valet because they're trying to save a little bit of money.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
$10 or something. Most of the time, it's free.
And Patty and I, when we go to a hotel, I've many times self-park, right? If you're going to go park yourself.
Right. And I finally realized, you know what? I'm going out to eat. I'm at a decent restaurant, or we're at Bonefish or wherever it is. If I don't want the dinner that's $5 more, I probably should eat at home.
Right.
Yep. So.
I've had that theory for a long time. People like this. They go out with the group. A group of you are going to go out, and they go out, and the first thing they're going to do is complain about the prices. Or you notice they're going to like share a small side order of spaghetti, and I'm always like, you do you, boo. I
Right.
wanted to be with you, but if you can't afford and then you're going to tip on that side order of spaghetti, right? Your standard 15%,
Well, the issue becomes when there's 6 or 8 people, and then it's a 20% gratuity off the whole deal. However they do it, I don't know.
I tell you, in places I go, at least the ones that know me, they will never attach that tip.
Yeah.
At least not to my check, because they know they couldn't do much better if they don't. Because if you put the tip on it, I'm sorry.
Right.
That's your tip.
And then my rule with dining out with other couples is, and this is a great rule, so pay attention. Get what you want on the menu, because if you're splitting the check 3 ways or 4 ways, you don't want the $9.95 chicken breast and everybody else ordered filet and lobster at $50 a dinner.
Right.
So always order what you want when you're eating with a group of people.
But again, it comes back to...
If you've agreed to split it ahead of time.
Yes. You usually want to say, we're splitting this.
But it comes back to, I really believe... See, we don't teach people etiquette anymore. And it comes back to, if I can't afford that restaurant...
I shouldn't be there.
And I think that way. If I mean, as long as I'm not going out with 50 people, but if I can't afford to pick up the check for 4 or 5 people, I'm not going out.
Right.
Even though nobody said I'm picking up the check.
Right.
I figure if I can't afford to pick up the check for 4 or 5, I shouldn't even be going.
Right.
And it's why many times when I go out with people, I let them pick the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's something decent. But we have, I have a lifelong friend, and we'll all go out, and either I pick up a check or he picks up a check, and it's always, over the course
There'll
of
be
a
like
year.
8 or 10 of us, and they take turns getting the whole check.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's actually,
holy cow.
you've done your job. I knew I'd done my job as a dad. Well, the first time one of my children picked up the check, I was like, oh, nice blessing. When I realized it was a habit, they were like coordinating to make sure dad didn't pick one up.
That's great.
That was like, I said, oh, my kids are reasonably successful, at least at the space that they're in. And, they're not entitled. They don't assume dad's going to pay for everything,
Sure.
And as a matter of fact, my wife and I, this last Christmas, because you want to bless your kids, we did something, and we gave our kids something, and it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't terribly expensive, and I got 4 kids to buy for. You add it up, it comes up to
it's
something.
expensive.
And I had the kids pull me aside like 3 weeks later, a month later, and said, all of them individually sat me down and said, Dad, I make good money, right? Yes. Dad, I love you. I don't need your money like that.
Right.
Son,
But Dad had a good closing.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Exactly what I said. I was like, look, son, you're my children. You don't like it. Actually, one of my children passed that on to somebody they knew who was in need. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy with
Even
that.
better.
I gave it to you. You can do whatever you want with it, but I mean, don't tell me not to give it to you, I really believe that God rewards us when we do stuff like that.
I think so. I think so. I mean, that's how we try to raise.
Call it blessing, karma, whatever you want.
Good
Karma's a
karma.
great thing.
As long as you're doing what's right, it should come back to you sooner or later.
I agree. I agree.
So anyway, I started to say the thing that drives me up the wall about those celebrities is when they're in that and somebody takes a picture and they're like, "Can I get some privacy?" I'm like, no. You got
signed
paid
up for this.
$180 million last year.
People
the
wanna
price
know
of
how you do it.
$180 million is no privacy.
You're posting on Instagram every 3 hours. Don't take my picture.
From your $82 million compound.
Right.
You have privacy on your compound.
Right. I get that. And there are some celebrities that are very good about that.
Yeah, they are.
You can walk
They're,
up and, hey,
they're very generous with people, and yeah.
But
Well, don't you? Here's the thing, and I think that thing that media misses. When I go out, none of us have privacy. If I want privacy. I got to be in my own backyard, right?
Right. Oh, no, I agree. You're in the public, and so if somebody's taking a picture or Unfortunately, when you go to places, some people are on dates while their spouse is at home, and so they don't want to be on camera.
How many times you've been out to lunch or out doing something cool, and you see across the crowd, you do this, and you talk to Lisa, and you're like, oh crap, here comes that guy.
That's
I
it.
gotta talk to him.
We go through that.
Yeah, no.
We go through that.
Not very often.
Almost every time
no.
they see Joe.
Joe, no. Joe knows. Joe's
knows.
great. Joe's great.
But that's why that always drives. And I think celebrities don't understand that's why the average people gets driven crazy by that.
Sure.
Is because if I leave my house, I have no. Now, if paparazzi's putting a drone in their bedroom,
Yeah, that's a problem.
that's a different problem. That guy should get a beat down.
Well, you have your L.A. celebrities, and you have your New York celebrities, and a lot of celebrities love New York because they can walk down the streets of New York, and people will recognize them, but they just leave them alone.
Yeah, because it's New York.
Because it's New York.
They got more than enough of them.
Yeah. I mean, any time whether it's Cher or somebody else walking down the street, it's just there goes Cher. Where in L.A. celebrities want to be seen. Like you say, they're pulling up in their Bugatti, they're pulling up in their lime green Lamborghini or whatever it is. Oh, I don't want anybody to see me in this.
They're not going through the turnstile in the subway. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the difference. I think I don't know.
Then you have your cool Nashville stars who will probably just come up and put their arm around you and like, hey, let's take a picture.
It's a different mindset. I think musicians. I think probably country musicians are different than other musicians. I think that they're more.
It's the same.
More laid back.
They're more laid back. They're a little more humble. They're a little more grateful because most of them did not come from. That's a problem, I think, partly with L.A. as opposed to New York, is a lot of the L.A. celebrities are coming from big, rich families. They may not be coming from other celebrities, but they're coming from the families of movie producers or people who are invested heavily in the movie business.
Right.
And
they have that entitled behavior.
They have that entitled behavior, and it didn't start when they got famous. It started long before. And whereas New York, of course, a lot of people go to L.A. to get famous.
Right.
So you're attracting that. Even the people around them, the reason they get so obnoxiously harangued is because you're surrounded by a bunch of people who want to be famous, and even if they have to attach to fame,
right,
to get their fame, New York's a little different. Yeah. Everybody doesn't go to New York to get famous. Right. Some do, but most of them are there just because it's New York, work opportunities,
and it's more of a more like home.
New York
it's not as plastic, I guess.
New York is more of a city you go to for the vibe of the city.
Right.
It's kind of like there are places like Philadelphia, Detroit. When you go there, you're going for the Atlanta, Nashville. You're going for the vibe of that city.
Right.
Whereas you're someplace like L.A., you're going there for what you can get. Yeah.
It's all fake.
Yeah. Now, I was on, we talked a little bit last week. I was on a movie called A Civil Action.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I got to meet Robert Duvall and John Travolta, and their acting styles are very different. Robert Duvall, he gets in a character. He's very method. He was in his trailer if he wasn't on the set, he was in his trailer. He's literally in character until the end of the day.
Right.
Because he takes him a while to whip into that. John Travolta would eat lunch with everybody.
Sure.
I mean, with the extras.
Yeah, down home.
And because of it, nobody was like, fanboying him.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
just a regular guy.
That's John Travolta. And he'd come down and sometimes he didn't come in, but he would come and give advice. And actually, I was really impressed with several of the supporting actors who were famous, who literally you could tell they were going out of their way to eat with, in the down times, to be with the extras. And they would just be giving little pieces of advice.
Sure.
There was one guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. You'd recognize him. He used to be Carla. Are you familiar with Cheers? The TV show Cheers?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, do you remember the Carla character, the small?
Yeah. She's married to Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember her husband in the show, Vinny?
No.
It was
I didn't watch Cheers all the time.
Okay, so
It
he
wasn't
was
like
this-
for
I'm
my
sure if I
side of-
saw him, I would know.
So you'd recognize him. He's been in several other things, but he was very, very good about assembling some of the actors around him, not necessarily holding court, but just giving good advice. And I thought he had a great perspective because he wasn't a superstar celebrity. And he actually said, I have the best kind of fame. You know, we're all, what's that? And he says, well, I have selective fame. He said, here's the best part. I'm not so famous that if I walked in a grocery store, you'd know exactly who I am. Or go to a game or go to a restaurant. You wouldn't necessarily, you might look at me and say, oh, he looks just like that guy.
Right. It looks
said,
familiar.
If I was like John Travolta,
Right.
the minute I walk in a restaurant, I'm completely harangued, and everybody. I always thought that was kind of a neat concept. This guy makes his living as an actor.
Sure. Probably works all the time.
He works all the time, does what he loves, but he's completely happy with his level of success.
Yeah. Anonymity.
That in and of itself was a lesson. Being completely happy with your level of success.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
a big
Selective
word.
anonymity.
That's a big word. What else we got going? Hey, what's going on this week? Anything exciting going on in town this week? Do we know of anything going on this week?
Oh, the kickball game.
That is on the 18th.
No, what is this weekend?
The third.
I don't know. What is this weekend?
I'm out
The
of town.
5K, the Buckley 5K.
Yeah, that's right.
the
That's
Buckley
right. The
5K
Buckley
is this week.
5K is on Saturday, right? Starts at what?
I think 4?
4 o'clock to raise money for the scholarship fund. So that's a big deal.
That's
too.
actually a challenging time to start a race, especially in the state of Florida.
Especially because I'd probably be drinking since 1, so
Well,
probably not really the best time for me to
Let
run.
me tell you what, some of those runners will be like that. You know,
sure.
I know a group of guys, they go for, I think they call it the Suds Run.
Ooh, that's a
And
good run
basically they're running
for
a half marathon, but they hit like 12 bars. They're not doing the whole thing. It's like, you know,
That's one that Ken
Yeah.
would sign up for.
Yeah.
they run like a 5K and they stop for, 20 minutes and have a couple of beers.
What's
Then they
the
run-
website for that? I'm in.
Well, it's kind of a bunch of guys just kind of got together to do it. And they're much younger than you and me, man. I mean,
all
let's face
right.
it. You'd hit bar number 3.
I'd be staying.
Keep in mind, a 5K is 3 miles.
3 miles. Yes, 3. Yeah, 5.
So you hit bar 5, you've gone 9 miles.
Yeah, that'd be a long day. Be a long
Talk
day.
about an ultra event.
Well, I have a good friend of mine, and she's up in Pennsylvania, and Nancy runs any race where there's beer at the end. And she's in phenomenal shape. I mean,
She's so fit.
she's so fit, but always at the end of the races, there's a pint in her hand, ready for more. So look, I guess if I ran, I could still drink beer and not look like I'm getting ready for the Santa Claus marathon.
I've got a friend out in Texas, actually, a guy we've been trying to find him a house, but the market went crazy, and he's smart enough not to overbuy. And but he just picked up. He's been a runner, but in the last year, he's picked up triathlons. And I'm a little jealous because I always wanted to run one, but I'm a little old right now. Sometimes you get to an age where you have to adjust your your dreams and goals. I'm probably not getting into the space program anytime soon.
Shuffleboard, maybe. I was in a bike race once, and I had been riding for quite some time, and I was fit. I was probably 24, 25, and I had a nice Ironman bike and all that, and. Damn, I'll tell you what, I was the slowest freaking guy because it's amazing when you race ultra athletes. There's no comparison when you think you can ride fast. No.
Well, you're racing ultra
Horrible.
athletes, and here's the thing, and actually one of the reasons I really like this part of our community in South Lake and Claremont is that whole thing, because we have everybody from the guy like me who's just trying to stay in shape, and when I enter a race, I mean, as much as I'd like to win, I'm more of a can I finish and beat my own last time?
Exactly.
Right? And it's more about giving me a goal for the daily
Sure.
exercises, right? Whereas, you get people up to those people who are going to go compete. They're going to try out for the Olympics. It's really funny. You can tell they tear out in front of you, right? But you can tell they've just warmed up.
Right.
By the time you're pooping out.
Now, Lisa's run some 5Ks, right? You've run quite a few, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
The funniest is a few years ago with my sister in downtown Claremont, I had a elderly guy, and I'm talking 80s, like mid 80s probably. He beat me at the end. I told my sister, I was like, the guy but we used to see him walking everywhere.
Right.
I'm sure everyone in Claremont has seen this guy.
Lisa, do not feel bad. I mean, I'm not bad. I'm my average pace working out is somewhere between 11:30 a mile and 12:30 a mile, and so my run times, my race times tend to drift down towards 10. If I can get under 10 minutes a mile during my race times, I'm good. I'm okay with that, right?
I think my score would be like 47 or something.
But every single race, there's some guy who's like 87 years old,
right.
and he's like,
and he walked most of it, and I was jogging most of it.
He tears out fast,
and his walk beat me at the end. I was like, what the heck?
I had a guy. I was sick, so there was a race I had to miss because I was sick. Florida's fastest 5K. It's run by Dash Sports. Shout out to Dash. They start. It's at Lake Louisa, and it starts at a high point, right? And it comes down and it's like this. You run for a little bit and you go down, but then you go up and you go down. You never get as high as that start point. The finish point is something like 1,000 feet of sea level less than the start point. And they call it Florida's fastest. There are several of these kind of races. The idea is you're mostly downhill.
Yeah, downhill.
So you're going to be a little faster.
Right.
That was not my experience because the uphill kicked my butt. But there was a guy last year when I did it. There was a guy, and he went out fast, and he was limping. And he went out, and I'm like, "That's okay. I'm gonna get warmed up, and I'm gonna blow this guy. I've got my pace. I know what I can do, and I'm gonna blow the." Man, I got close to this guy, and by close I mean, I might have gotten within 50 feet of this guy where I could see his back. And sure enough, he'd put on a burst of speed, and I mean that halfway through the race, he was like. The last half of the race is this long decline and then a long straightaway. I came over that hill. I could barely see him. He was almost done.
See, just ain't my thing, man. I cannot run. I'm a great baseball guy. I can run 90 feet, 180, stretch a double and a triple, but I can't run distance. I mean, God help me if I'm ever chased by anyone, the police, dogs. I'm like, okay, I'll just give I don't have that stamina. I have bursts of speed, like I play tennis, so I've got those bursts of speed where I'm super fast on the court. But if I had to run even at a steady or a slow pace, because Lisa and I will walk a couple of miles, 2 or 3 miles, and when we're doing like a 19-minute walk, and and at the end of it, sometimes I'm a little bit winded. I'm like, gosh, that was 3 miles. I need some oxygen.
We have to do more
and
of
a nap.
that. That's the problem.
Yeah,
we don't walk enough.
Even for me, when I will be completely honest. I came to running late in life in jail because I couldn't stand the other prisoners so bad that when they let us out into the yard, if you weren't running, like obviously working out running, they'd talk to you.
Right, you just wanted to
and
run.
I was like, I didn't necessarily want to run. I just didn't want to talk to them.
Right.
Because I knew one of them would say something dumb, and then I'd lash out and I'd be in trouble, trying not to face more charges.
Sure.
So, but when I came out, I had managed to lose a little bit of weight, and I wasn't heavy when I went in. Well, I was heavy, but I wasn't fat. And so I'd managed to lose it, and I felt better, and I kept on running. And so I was in my late 30s. And so, but I kept it up, and it really started with running is something that you build over time.
Yes.
Like anything else. And when I first started, when I got out, it was jogging my driveway, a dirt driveway was, I should say road, but it wasn't quite an official road. The road from my house to the end of the drive was a third of a mile. So I would go that and do that. And there came a point where it just didn't feel long enough. So I went further and further. Took me a year, and I went out to drive. I had never tested the distance I went. I get in the car one day with one of the kids, and they were like, well, Dad, how far do you run? I run down here and run over there and run over there. So we timed it in the car, and I was like, I was running 5 miles a day, like 4 days a week. I was like,
that's
hey,
a lot of
maybe I can do this.
Sure.
So it's something that you have to work at every single day, or at least regularly during the week and what happens is you build it. Now, I had a trainer tell me that one of the reasons that I was able to build the way I did is because I did the thing nobody ever does. I built slowly and kept at it, and I didn't know this. I knew this from weightlifting. I don't know why I never put it into running, was you have to exercise extra light for a time to allow your tendons and your ligaments to adjust. Your muscles will build fast.
Right.
But people end up with joint problems because
that's me.
They jump right in, and then their joints hurt.
He won't play tennis for like a good month,
right.
And then he's hardcore right at it.
Yeah.
And then he has tendonitis.
Yeah, you got to slow back in. It allows your tendons and your ligaments to stretch. And I knew this about you. Ever know that weightlifting guy can't actually extend his arm?
Yeah, he's like,
this is as far as he's going.
You can kick his ass in a fight because he can't go forward. He can only go sideways.
As long as you can move, don't let him touch you. If he hits you, you're done.
Though, Joe, I was, when you started to tell your story, I was like, what a great idea for a podcast. I could see the Joe Knows show live from prison or whatever. And hey, today's guest is Jimmy the car thief, and we're going to interview Jimmy and his story. And on tomorrow's show, we've got Skippy the pedophile. I mean, you're just kind of interviewing all of these guys on your show. And
we're not going to allow the call-in ability on that show.
Call in, but I mean that would be an. I wouldn't say it's a funny show, but it would be a very interesting show to talk with the person. What?
I wouldn't want to.
How did you
speak
get
to
involved in? No. But the car thief or the snitch or
Actually,
whoever it is, or
that would be a very good show, but you'd have to do it not at a jail, but at a prison.
Right.
And the reason is because people in jail, the large majority of them are waiting trial.
Right.
So they're still in denial. They still got a lot of, a lot of guys go to prison. And they may be stuck there for life, but they've done that personal character work. Now getting the prison officials to let you do that because they're afraid of what somebody's going to say online.
It's a captive audience.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we go off in these tangents, but we just kind of roll.
We roll with it. Patty and I are going away this weekend.
You want somewhere fun?
Yeah, the rehab I graduated from.
Really?
Yeah. I graduated from a place called Dunklin Memorial Camp.
Are you going to speak down there?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
If they select me. There's a lot of us. We have what we call homecoming. Mm-hmm. So this place has been there, let me see, I'm 59, so it's been there 59 years.
Wow.
It was established 30 days after I was born. Let that mess with your head, The day it messed with my head, I was like, what do you mean 30 days? It was kind of like God knew Joe was going to have a problem and needed some help.
I'm building this place for Joe.
I'm building this place for Joe. And he would have. But it's a faith-based place, but faith is not required to get in. And one of the things that was so cool about it wasn't, when I was ready for rehab, we looked at a lot of them, and they're expensive.
I can imagine.
I mean, and some of them, even the quote-unquote free ones, wanted Patty to come up with, $8,000 or to get somebody from my church to guarantee the $8,000. I'm like, if you require $8,000 to even start, how are you free?
Sure.
So, but the cool thing about this is it really was a linchpin in my life, and it changed a lot of things. It opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and it was the place that I got free, not only from drugs, but from a lot of who I was and a lot of my baggage. And so every year they have this homecoming, and it's really kind of cool to come back and see guys. And for me, because I graduated in 2007.
Right, you're a success story.
Yeah, so it's been 15 years for me now. So I tend to go back and they select me to speak quite a bit, but not all the time. And
Right.
you got to be humble about that.
Sure.
Right? You don't go expecting to speak, and it's kind of cool because you can get the perspectives of everybody. And Patty, encourages the wives, and I encourage the guys not only who are in the program, but the guys who have dedicated their lives to be there, for others. The cool thing about Dunklin is it is completely operated by people who have graduated the program.
Wow.
Everybody there's nobody on staff that hasn't graduated the program. They were all just like me. And one of the cool things is when I was going through it, it was hard to give a bullcrap story, to a counselor or to a teacher because they were like, yeah, right. Actually, one of the biggest changes was a guy named Hobie Womble. Hobie. Hobie. He was from some southern town. I mean, way
Obviously.
southern Florida town, like backwoods. And
Arcadia.
Something like that, like way out there, population of 12, right? And he had, of course, it's faith-based, so he had said something to me at the marriage class the weekend. And one of the cool things is my wife, to drop me off, had to commit to come down every weekend to work on our marriage. So during the week, I'm working on me, they're working on me. But in the weekend, she shows up.
Right.
And they have a whole retreat center so you stay with your wife over the weekends. And weekend started at 1 in the afternoon and ended at 5 in the afternoon the next day. So
okay.
when we say weekend, we mean a select set of hours.
Yeah, 26 hours.
26 hours. And actually, when I was graduating, one of the scariest things, I had to talk to one of my counselors. I'm like, look, it's good. It's easy to be a good husband for 26 hours a week.
Hell yeah.
Now I'm going to go move back in the house. I got them teenagers. I got her. What are the expectations, right? But this guy, he said something to me, and I said to him, I pulled him aside a couple of days later, and I said, look, man, I need to get right with you because that's what it's all about, So I need to get right with you because you said that, and I've held some resentments. And he said, Joe, I forgive you, but you got to own your junk. And that comment right there was the start of my change, of my realizing, it was almost like, is it that obvious? And people have been telling me for years that the whole world wasn't about me, but I never really saw it until that guy said, you got to own your junk. It didn't come from a pastor.
Right.
It came from a guy who used to be an addict like me, but he managed to put his life together. He had nothing to gain or lose from telling me. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. They have a little rodeo down there, and it's in the swamps of Okeechobee, but don't let that throw you. It's been there 59 years. It's very established now. And
Did they set you up when you go there, or do you get a hotel nearby? Do they still set you up there, to stay?
If I get in early enough, yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because it's very popular and people go back. And, of course, I'm one of the older guys now, so I think nobody's actually said it, but I think they give us, those of us that are a little older, probably get a little more preference for those rooms because they have 60 rooms and they fill up quick. I mean, the staff itself, there's 250 people, is staff and families. And when you become staff, you live right on the camp. So they have manufactured homes and cottages that they put people up in.
Nice.
It works very much like the Bible. It's a very, very cool place. They're actually the second largest producer of pallets in the state of Florida.
Really?
And it's not the kind of place where you get up and it's touchy-feely and free time and, now we're going to go to group therapy. It's you get up and you go to chow for 25 minutes. When chow was over, you at 6:25 when chow was over, you go back to the dorm.
Lisa would miss breakfast every day.
You go back to the dorm and you do your chores. You clean. You take turns cleaning the common area, but you clean your room, and I mean everything's got to be nice. At I think it's 7 o'clock or 7:25. They have what's called quiet time, and I've talked about journaling here before, and it's where I learned to journal. So you journal, and at 7:55, the call comes out, go to work. They ring a big bell. You can't miss it. And there's somebody called the time caller, assigned the duty to say, he gets you up and you go to work.
Ooh.
Well, here's the real deal, though. I mean, it's discipline I never had in my life.
Okay.
Unless I was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Surprise, surprise. I didn't do a lot of drugs in the Marine Corps because I had a lot of discipline in my life. But it's cool, and then you go to work, and I cut logs. I worked a miser saw, which takes big, huge, like 3,000-pound logs and cuts them into slabs of wood that would then go over to the sawmill or the lumber mill that would turn them into 2x4s and 4x4s and stakes. They're one of the big suppliers of the state to the state for surveying stakes. And they have an entire pallet shop, and they second largest producer of pallets in the state. Because the founder's vision was we don't want to depend on donations,
funding
and we don't want to depend on government funding because they'll want to have an opinion about our faith.
Right.
And one of the things, faith thing that's cool about it is there's Catholics and Baptists, and there was a Trappist monk there, and there's all these different. Because the founder was like, well, look, if you can help my boys, you're welcome here.
Sure.
There was never any religious doctrinal fighting. It's all about how do you make life better for your children and your spouse, And I thought they actually have a women's camp now, which is there are other challenges with that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That
Plus,
sounds cool.
My one of my grandchildren live near there, so we're going to be able to see her. That's always a win.
Nice.
Look,
I got to tell everybody, I met Joe probably a year or so ago, and this guy is probably one of the most honest and endearing people that I've come to know. I mean, I love Joe. He's a great friend now, and he's honest, he's sincere, and everything that he speaks of, he's always everything's from the heart. So if you ever want to talk to somebody that's been through it and come out on top, and Joe's your guy. I mean, just.
What is the name of that place again, in case
it's
anybody
Dunklin Memorial Camp, and feel free if you have questions, not just to go to their website, which is dunklin.org, DUNKLIN.org, or just call me.
Call Joe.
352-360-8387. My email address is onejoeknows@gmail.com. I'll sit down and have a conversation with you. If it's you, if it's your child, if it's your spouse, just let me know.
He's the guy.
I can give you a place to start. How about that?
He's the guy.
That's awesome.
What are you guys doing this weekend?
What do we have going
to
this
Buckley?
weekend?
You know what? You should go to Buckley. You don't have to.
I'm going to be at basically the welcoming crew with the fabulous flockers.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be flocking.
Yeah, I'm going to be flocking.
Are you a
around.
flocker?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of been
a part-time flocker.
Yeah.
What's your nickname?
Tiki flocker.
Tiki flocker.
Lisa really can't embrace the whole kumbaya.
I'm not a big joiner.
You're telling me she doesn't like to flock in groups.
No. Lisa, like Lisa just said, she's not a big joiner in things. So, whenever she has some time to do something like that, she enjoys it. But it doesn't encompass her. Because our weekends are typically chasing live music wherever it is because we love live music. It's last weekend we went out to the beach. We did a I forget the name that I usually call it. But we just did a surprise run in our Jeep. Went out to Spontaneous. We shot out to Daytona Beach, had lunch at the Land Shark Bar and Grill, which is right on the beach. And then we went, she put her Jeep on the beach in Daytona, rode on the beach. And then Sunday we just went out to breakfast on the motorcycle. So we always try to spend time outside, really. But the flockers, can be... there's a lot going on there. I mean,
it's a time.
Lisa's phone blows up.
Yeah.
Tremendously, but Lisa has so many other things going on, whether it's crap with me all the time, and Lisa's probably spent the past year buying, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 in paint samples for our bathroom that's still not painted.
Whatever.
She has a beautiful grandniece that she likes to spend time with. Maddie just turned 2. So she has so many other things going on. We still have a teenager at home, which, we can't wait for her to move out.
Aw.
Then it becomes a clothing optional place.
I know you think that.
I know we think that, but no. Because I never know when my son's going to show up. He strolls in the door.
That's right. I can tell you that from
in whenever they want. So
Let me tell you what. I love it when my kids surprise me, but you should not surprise me at like 7:30, 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Okay, that's all I got to say. If I'm not sleeping, I really don't want you to walk in.
Sure. So I mean, we just have so many things going. We have 3 dogs. So that's always a project. So we just try to pick and choose things that we can do in the community. We try to always have a schedule, like we're doing the event. We talked about doing the event for the kickball, and hopefully you come out and serve some dogs with us. Stuff like that. So I mean, I think the big week is Elisa's birthday in 3 weeks. We're going out to the Hard Rock for her birthday weekend.
Oh,
yeah, the one in Daytona.
Yeah, in Daytona.
Yep.
26, 27?
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
It.
Yeah.
Look, I know that Lisa doesn't put the camera much on her, but she looks amazing whether she thinks she does or not. I'm pretty sure that
She's very self-conscious.
I'm pretty sure
I'll
that
put the camera on me for 1 second.
I'm pretty sure most guys would mistake her for. She's not old, certainly, but I would pretty sure most guys would mistake her for late 20s. We should go on Facebook and have a survey.
A survey. Oh God.
Survey.
How old is Lisa?
This is
Give him a choice. How old does she look?
Well, how old does she
Give him
look?
a choice.
Oh, I know.
28, 35, 42. Give him those choices.
I used to have people come up to me and say I look like Taylor Swift. I was like, well, that's a compliment, but I wish I had her money.
Yeah, me too. I think,
Do you ever have people mistake you for somebody else?
No.
My
Damn
kids,
it.
I'm a fluffy Taylor Swift now.
Yeah. And
Fluff ain't bad.
in our house, we never talk about being overweight or flabby or I need to lose that. We're just slightly fluffy.
We're fluffy.
Fluffy's a very more.
Fluffy's okay though.
Fluffy's a good word.
Fluffy's okay.
I feel a little fluffy today.
I mean, my wife is. Well, let me say, my wife is not skinny as a stick. And she has had 4 children.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
And she is, let's say, over the age of 45. Okay. But here's the thing. I love her exactly as she is.
Sure.
And I mean, she melts my butter.
That's
and
right.
that's all that's really important, isn't it?
Melts his butter.
And she melts my butter.
That's why Joe don't want to be bothered at 7:30 on a Saturday morning.
That's right.
He ain't working.
That's right.
We have a comment from Tom Peterson.
Oh, jeez.
Get a naked sign and hang on the door. And then his guess for my age is 30.
Yeah,
Love you, but not even close.
Having kids is always, because you never know when they show up. Especially my son, because he works nights and this and that. And and Hunter does the same thing every time he comes over. He walks through the door, has to go take a crap, and then comes out, forages through the kitchen to see what we've had that night for dinner or whatever.
I've seen this movie in my own house.
grabs a bite to eat, and then of course I love my peanut butter whiskey, so he'll grab a shot glass off of my tiki bar, and he'll do a couple of shots of Screwball.
But then last night after he left, I'm walking through the house and I'm like, what is all this sand on the ground?
Yeah.
I feel
Last night he brought
sticking
sand
to my feet, so I'm getting out the broom and I'm sweeping up, and I'm like,
one of my favorite things to do
well.
now that my kids are adults, one of my favorite things to do is they'll come visit and we'll be watching a movie or something. Petty and I'll get up and go into the kitchen to fix a snack or something. She'll bend over at the fridge, and I'll just say something like, reach a little lower, and I'll get the dirty looks from the kids.
Oh, we do that with Lisa's daughter, because
innuendo is a good thing.
Oh, she's 15, so she. So one of the funny things that happens with Alyssa is if I'm having some sort of conversation with her about something, and she'll always say something like, "Your mama." And I'm like, "I'll be doing your mama later," and then she just cringes, you know.
I've been playing that game with my boys for years now. Yo, mama, careful.
It's just so funny, you know. But now she's dating, you know, so she's. I mean, Alyssa's hilarious, you know, and you know, some people don't get her humor, but she's hilarious. But anyway,
as a matter of fact, the thing I love is the boys try to. And adult children do this. They, you know, it's yo mama, no yo mama, and then they try to spin it on you. And I'm like, look, I've been doing this a whole lot longer than you.
Yo mama, I've been doing yo mama a long time.
You'll be far more embarrassed long before I will.
Just remember where you actually came from, son. A wild night with yo mama.
And, you know, I always hit them with, you know, I used to be a criminal and a drug addict. There's almost nothing that's going to embarrass me.
Exactly.
What?
But
if I had any shame, I probably never would have been a criminal or a drug addict.
Kids are reflections of us, you know.
That's right.
Sometimes they're not the reflection you want to see in that mirror, but you know, they are fun.
Do you know, it's actually one of the things I learned at Dunklin was a lot about relationships, because it's, you know, part of their base theory is about relationships. And the three relationships you have is your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, your relationship with God. So you're always learning about relationships. And I realized when I came out of Dunklin that the kids I'm bumping heads with the most were exactly like me.
Yes, of course.
And that was like, you know, it was fine to be pissed off about it before you learned that. Right. But after you learn it, you're like, ooh, you want to be so mad, but you're like, okay, now I got to like go look at me.
Right. Now I get it.
I can't, I can speak into you, but I need to work on that myself. You know? Are you?
Well, so I mean, there we have it. That's our week. You've got some stuff going on. We got